sex. Welcome back to our program, Fireplace. This program has tackled several topics regarding sex and sexuality, issues and solutions. I'd like always to start quoting St. Augustine when he said, "How can we be ashamed of organs God was not embarrassed to create?" We covered a gamut of topics, including God's intentions when He created sex. Can I marry my sweetheart in high school? Why would God give me sexual feelings if I'm not using them for many years? What's wrong with premarital sex? Why virginity is too important for girls and is not important for boys? What is second virginity and virginity of the heart? What are the differences between men and women in many aspects? And is masturbation sin? Today, I would like to open the topic about pornography. Pornography is a multi-billion-dollar industry today. Unfortunately, more and more are involved in it. Strangely, if I am speaking about countries, Egypt is considered the second most common country in the world to download porn topics, as per recent statistics. The average age to watch pornography, unfortunately, is going less and less. There are some claims that 90% of boys between the ages of 8 and 16 have viewed porn online. And 80% of 15 to 17 years of age have viewed hard porn online. 4 out of 5 16 years old have regularly accessed porn online. In a recent sample of 1,500 internet users ages between 10 and 17, 42% was the national average of those young people who viewed online porn. Unfortunately, the incidence of watching porn has been dramatically creeping up. It used to be in the late 90s and early 2000s, 26%, and reached to 34% 2005 and 68% in the late 2000s. Teens may immediately experience feelings of confusion and isolation, which was commented upon in every survey I mentioned, but I'll come back to that.
There is the commonly known sexual organ. But also for the man, there is a less commonly known and understood sexual organ that is between the ears, known as the eyes. By design, God created the eyes of the man as a way to experience sex. What the man sees by design is ultimately part of the sexual experience. This is why when a man looks at a woman, ideally when a man looks at his wife, he can't get her out of his mind. He's excited, he loves what he sees, and he bonds with her emotionally and psychologically. Though he may be geographically distant, he can't get her out of his mind. And God says, yes, that's what I want. I want him to be in love with her. I want him to be unable to get her out of his mind. That's this emotional, psychological bonding that God intended with the eyes.
Survey from the University of Montreal, scientists launched a search for men who had never watched pornography and found none. In 1998, 14 million web pages of pornography were viewed. 2012 became 1 billion web pages.
Pornography is growing like an epidemic, or actually it's more than an epidemic, it's like a pandemic. The whole world, the entire world is suffering these days specifically because of the availability of pornography, of cheap or free pornography that's provided and comes on any screen, whether it's your smartphone, whether it's your iPad or tablet or your laptop. Easily you find those pop-ups and images and advertisements, sexualized emails sometimes come to you, etc., etc. And they are very strong in temptation. And because of our weak nature, we find ourselves drawn into that. And very soon you feel you are losing control. Pornography is about starting the cycle of addiction. It's very addictive. You know why? Because it's very pleasurable. The pleasure of sex is one of the strongest pleasures for any human being.
Is pornography addictive?
Pornography is absolutely an addiction. We can talk about it from a social perspective, but even from a medical perspective, they've done studies where, there's certain portions of your brain that are lighting up when you're watching porn that are the same that when you're taking certain drugs, stimulants, without getting into the science behind it. But I think it's absolutely an addiction, and anyone who has watched porn or anyone who is struggling with it will know that it's very easy to say, yeah, that's fine, I'll get over it in a second, I can stop cold turkey. But when you really kind of dive into it and you look within yourself, you realize that you are addicted to this and that it is something that you really need help with. I think it should be treated just as much as any other addiction, whether it's drugs or whatever the case may be. While that may sound dramatic, it is something that is influencing marriages across the world, whether you're Christian or whatever religion you are. So it's something that I think we really have to take more seriously.
If you think of porn and masturbation like a tree, the more you see it, the more it grows, the more it becomes deep-rooted, the harder it is to get out of it. So it definitely is something that's an addiction, and the more you see, like I said before, it's something insatiable. You're not going to satiate that desire, and you're just going to want more and more and more, which is the part where the addiction kicks in, where you're more and more and more addicted. So it's something that you just have to nip it in the bud, cut it from the root. Don't let it continue to grow, because it only gets harder and worse and more difficult to overcome and more affecting between yourself, where you become more reserved into yourself and you look for free time and you try to find opportunities for it. And then it affects your relationships with others, where you may not, if you're married, you might not be having sex, you might not be going out, you might not be involved just because you want that alone time.
In a quote by a psychotherapist from Youth Pornography Addiction Center in Utah, Matt Buckley, I quote, "A classic pattern that is emerging, which is that addiction to pornography develops in adolescent years, stays hidden for a time, and not until the teen grows into adulthood and experiences serious marital conflict does he seek treatment." There was a study by the University of Cambridge in 2014, very interesting study that you may be able to see the pictures in the screen. They basically took a group of heroin addicts and did an MRI with contrast, and they call it functional MRI. And they were able to find that there are certain areas in the brain that lit up when the addicts were taking heroin. Then they took a group of sex addicts, porn addicts. They made them watch porn online, and then they did the MRI for them. Surprisingly, the same areas that were lit in heroin addiction were the same regions that were lit in the brains of porn addicts. And the Cambridge University scientists proved by this experiment that it must be addictive, because organically there is a functional in the brain that is linked to the level of how much porn viewing is happening.
Yes, it is addictive. There's actually been a lot of studies, scientific data behind this, that it is an addictive habit. And with any addictive habit, we know that it could be detrimental and very harmful to you. There's a lot of negative things that come from pornography. Nothing good comes out of it. And it damages marriages.
Unfortunately, there is an increasing number of girls watching porn. It's really unclear. Some claim because it's curiosity. Some claim because they would like to know what the boys like. Either way, it's very destructive.
Why is it increasing among girls? Most people think pornography is limited to boys and to men. Believe it or not, unfortunately, women struggle too. Girls are curious about pornography for different reasons. I think because girls are curious, number one. Number two, peer pressure from school. I think sometimes girls want to keep themselves pure from sex, but they want to better understand what does it look like. And instead of asking someone or speaking openly about this topic that has been tabooed by society, they try to explore on their own. But what girls don't understand, pornography is not the sex God designed. And pornography will damage a girl's mind and a girl's heart. And sometimes girls are curious because they want to better understand, what does a boy want in sex? What does a boy want from me? Girls, I'm going to tell you right now, pornography is not your answer. That is not what you should give a boy.
I think with the whole feministic movement that's going on today, where women really want to be equal with men and want to do everything that a man can do, and even if it comes to something negative and harmful like pornography, you know, the women want to have everything that the man has when it comes to the media and the resources and the things that women go after. It could be increasing for that reason, and it also could be increasing because there's a lot of different things going on in the world right now with homosexuality and transgender and all of these temptations that women want to explore.
Pornography has a deleterious effect on success of marriages. In 2004, Dr. Jill Manning found that 56% of divorce cases involved one party having an obsessive internet interest in pornographic websites. The American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers polled 350 divorce attorneys in 2003. Two-thirds of them reported that internet played a significant role in divorces, with excessive interest in online porn contributing to more than half of such divorce cases. Roughly 500 million marriages annually are failing due to pornography. So, how does pornography affect marriage? Number one, your brain becomes adapted to the signal of porn, and your wife or your spouse will not be able to give you a similar signal because it's acting, it's a play. It's not a true and natural holy relation.
Unfortunately, when a couple experiences sexual dysfunction in the marital relationship, there is jeopardy to other aspects of the relationship. Emotional distance can increase when a man is unable to bond to his wife, or when a wife is unable to bond to her husband. The need to be fulfilled by a live human where there is implicit trust, safety, love, peace, and comfort cannot be understated.
They will lose interest in their spouses. Second, it's much less effort to watch porn and get high rather than to spend time pleasing the other. And marriage is about sacrificing and pleasing the other. But in porn, you don't have to please except yourself. And that's why you lose interest in the other party. 3, it becomes all about the body, not the intimate relation. Sex in marriage is a relationship, is an expression of love. But in porn, it's just a body that you want to be having pleasure from. 4, porn teaches you you don't have to give or take compassion or love. So there is a loss of both and eventually loss of marriage. 6, they looked at a survey of men who is porn addict in marriages and found that 20% suffer from premature ejaculation, meaning they cannot reach orgasm. 25% are disinterested in sex with their partner, and 31% have difficulty reaching orgasm, and 34% experienced impotence or erectile dysfunction.
Pornography creates a very false understanding and view of sex, and that view can damage marriages in a very, very serious way.
People who become overcome with the sin of pornography end up going down a road of loss and despair and guilt and lack of fulfillment. Rarely, if ever, does pornography result in, and trust me when I say this, any fulfillment. But often it results in thirst for more kind of aberrant sex, more kind of stimulation. Hypersexualized conditions result, and even the manifest desire for real, live, adulterous, or fornicating sex.
One of those reasons is that the people in pornography, they are professionals. They're professionals in certain positions and certain acts, and in expressing pleasure in a certain way. So one is that sex in real life doesn't work that way. There's a lot of like learning. It's not professionals. It's just people learning. People who have their own way of expressing pleasure in sex. They don't, not the positions you see in pornography are not the same positions that a husband and wife would enjoy all the time. Some, maybe others, like the sexual positions or the sexual acts that are being performed. The other thing is that the people, and it's kind of funny, but people in pornography or in any recording don't age, right? But when you get married, your spouse is going to age. So you're so used to, if you're watching pornography, watching a specific thing or people of a certain age group or something. But the body of your spouse is going to evolve, as is yours. And so if you're used to watching a video or a photo or hearing something or sensing something in any way, that thing will always be the same. But in real life, you're evolving, you're growing, you're learning, your desires change. You want something at one time, you want something at another time. The other thing is that pornography is very highly stimulated. So it's very, very physical, very physical. And as we said many times before, sex in real life is not anywhere near as physical as it is expressed in pornography.
Because of that, the addictive nature of pornography, under stress, and the stress can come and hit your mind at any time, especially when you are tired at the end of the day, when you are bored, when you are upset, when you are little down or depressed, when you are worried about something or anxious. The memory of the pleasure would hit again and say, go, turn on your computer or that stuff and look into that and have some fun with yourself. And that's very dangerous. You may lose control over that. And if you feel if you can imagine that loss of control would come and invade your life after you get married, or prevent you of getting married because you feel it's okay to stay like that, what you think? What would you think? You will just pay a price, and your family will pay a price.
We'll find many marriages where watching pornography has really, really hurt them, has set their expectations up, and for sex to be something so different, and has really created a disaster for many marriages. And I've heard this many times, and it's really sad because God wanted to give married couples such a great gift and a beautiful experience, but pornography and watching pornography has stolen away from that for so many married couples, and they need a lot of work to overcome that.
Wow. What God wanted from sex was total fulfillment, total peace, total joy, total connection, total union, total satisfaction. What pornography gives you is the exact opposite. All sandwiched in sin and guilt and remorse and fear of judgment of God. Who needs that? I don't, and you don't.
There are other consequences damaging from porn. In the Journal of JAMA Psychiatry in July 2014, Max Planck, a human division scientist in Berlin University, studied MRIs of high porn use subjects and found that there is a shrinkage of the volume of the gray matter of the right caudate striatum nucleus in the brain. So part of your brain will shrink with addiction to porn.